Says he's still undecided about his future after speaking publicly this time. Again, with McAfee, he said he's not been given a deadline by the Steelers. He also said there's not been a contract offer on the table. And then he praised in a lengthy fashion his former coach and the new Steelers coach, Mike McCarthy. Give a listen.
I don't give a about how old he is, how long he's been in the league, or the trend of the new young, play caller who's called, who's been on the staff of one of the Shanahan disciples. Like, it seems like that's kind of the hot thing. I get that. Like, there's a lot of great scheme in there, but there's something to an old school organization, which the Pittsburgh Steelers definitely are, just like the Green Bay Packers were, and bringing in a guy not only who brings accountability and in a program that's proven to work at multiple places now, but he's the Yinzer.
For those who don't know what that means, a Yinzer is what people in Pittsburgh call each other and themselves. So, and when that is true, he is a Western Pennsylvania guy through and through. This was his dream job through and through. And Kmart, there will be people who will say, well, here's Rodgers making everybody wait again. Yeah. In my opinion, on this level, that's at least a little bit unfair. He says they haven't made him an offer yet, right? They're just kind of talking at this point.
Him and McAfee, they talked about a lot of things on that show. But one thing that I thought was interesting was Rodgers has never said, like, I'm definitely coming back. But he also referred to himself as a free agent. So we think he's coming back, but the Steelers have not offered him a contract. Now, I spoke to their GM, Omar Khan, at the Combine, and I was asking, what is the deadline? And he said, there is no deadline per se, but it won't drag out like last year. Remember, Rodgers didn't show up until June. Keep in mind, free agency starts next week, March 11th, and we're less than 50 days away from the draft. So they need to know what they're doing.
That's exactly right. And so here's my question for you. I'll put it in as simple form as I can. Is Rodgers going back to the Steelers a good idea for him, and is it a good idea for them?
I think it's a good idea for Aaron Rodgers. He liked it in Pittsburgh last year. Mike McCarthy, there's a relationship there. On the other side of it for Pittsburgh, you have to start to think about your future. That doesn't mean you don't bring Aaron Rodgers back, but the draft is coming up. If you like a guy like Ty Simpson, you can bring back Aaron Rodgers on a one-year deal and still draft a Ty Simpson. I'm okay with them bringing Aaron Rodgers back. I know everyone's reaction is he's old, you just need to move on. But with what the quarterback situation is right now, bringing Aaron Rodgers back may be in the best interest of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Harry, same question to you. Is it a good idea for him? Is it a good idea for them?
It's a good idea for Aaron Rodgers, but I don't think so. I don't think it's a good idea for the Pittsburgh Steelers. What they should be doing right now, in my opinion, is exhausting every possibility to bring in a quarterback, whether it's free agency, and you have a few guys. When you look at Mac Jones, can you go try to trade for him? Kyler Murray is going to be released by the Arizona Cardinals. You also have Malik Willis that's going to be a free agent. Can you exhaust the possibility of bringing one of those guys in a free agency? But then, like J-Mac just said, can you also look at the draft? And if the quarterback Ty Simpson is there at number 21, you can take him if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, or if you decide to move up in the draft and take Ty Simpson. I do like that call. I think Pittsburgh, they're in a place where they need to start planning for their future. Aaron Rodgers is 42 years old. Not saying he didn't do a good job at the quarterback position last year, but I do feel like this organization needs to move forward at the quarterback position and leave Aaron Rodgers in the rearview mirror.
So you're not totally sold on it. You're not totally sold on it. You know who's really not sold on it is our buddy Booger McFarland on NFL Live yesterday. In case you didn't miss it, or in case you didn't hear it, I should say, he did not mince words. Listen to Booger.
I think it's time for Pittsburgh to move on. If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, do you honestly want to go through another season of Aaron Rodgers? He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, I get it, but it's not about what he's done. What can he do going forward? And if you're head coach Mike McCarthy and this is your new era, Aaron Rodgers does not need to be in it. Play Will Howard, and if that doesn't work, get ready to draft a quarterback in 27.
Here's the thing. I'm with Boog. I was with Boog last year. However, the fact that they're even waiting on Aaron Rodgers kind of shows you that they're not done with him yet. They would love to have him. The guys in that locker room would love Aaron Rodgers. So if they don't want to look forward, fine. Wait for Aaron Rodgers then.
And I think the reality of it is we keep saying that, just move forward. But I think Kyler Murray would be a really good option at the quarterback position. He mentioned Mac Jones. You're trading off assets to go get a guy like Mac Jones. I don't know that Pittsburgh feels like they're in that position. And then Malik Willis is not a big sample size with him. So there aren't a ton of free agent options that you just say, just move on and go get this. Go get who?
Right.
You're going to get Marcus Mariota, Jimmy Garoppolo. It's not for certain that those guys are a better option than Aaron Rodgers right now.
They could have drafted Jackson Dart last last year, sitting right where they were
Here's
sitting.
the only
That might
thing
have
I
been-
would say, though.
All right, super quick.
You're going to be in the same position regardless. You're not going to win a Super Bowl and contend with Aaron Rodgers because you have so many other holes on your offense and your entire team. So why not just start planning towards the future anyway?
Yeah, feels like a kick in the can down the road a little bit. We'll see what they wind up deciding to do and what he winds up deciding.
Back to the NFL. The combine's over. Free agency's on the horizon. So you know what that means, NFL fans. It's that part of the calendar where we find out what is Aaron Rodgers going to do next. Well, we don't know because the 42-year-old coming off that season where he helped the Steelers to the playoffs said yesterday on Pat McAfee's show he's still uncertain what the future holds.
There hasn't been any progressive conversations. You know, I love Mike, and Mike and I have kept in contact over the years. I've had conversations with Omar. I really, I think Omar, enjoyed having me there. I think the guys, had a positive response, to our time together. But again, there hasn't been any deadline set on me. There hasn't been any contract, floated in front of me for me to like, well, we're giving you till, March the 8th to make a decision on this contract. There's been nothing to that respect.
The Cowboys rearranged a few deals to get under the $301.2 million salary cap Wednesday. Dallas restructured the contracts of Dak Prescott, receiver CeeDee Lamb, and left guard Tyler Smith, clearing around $66 million in cap space to play with in free agency. Dak, are you happy about that?
Heck yeah, most definitely, especially what is it said, no projects we need guys now to play. Yeah, no red shirts or whatever. We got a coach in the second year. We know we had some ups and downs and shone some good moments last year, and this is the year that you make a big jump, and getting big time players who can help immediately is a key part of that.
On the cap. All right, so they have some flexibility, they have some room, they probably even have more maneuverability if they renegotiate with some of the other guys. So Chase Daniel put out this tweet. The Dallas Cowboys have to land either Trey Hendrickson or Max Crosby. Takes them to a Super Bowl contender immediately. If they get either of those guys, are they a Super Bowl contender?
No, I don't see it for the Cowboys quite yet. I mean, I think that defense was so bad. I'm not sure it is a one player away from making them a contender. Even though, yes, these are great players, I'm not sure that one player is good enough to turn that whole defense around.
Totally agree. You could argue that the Cowboys could upgrade at linebacker, corner, safety, pass rusher.
That's it?
I'm totally in agreement with David here. I don't think this is a one-player fits-all type of move. That one big player like a Trey Hendrickson or a Max Crosby, even as excellent and productive as those guys are, that they could come in and transform that defense completely.
Why are we jumping to these kinds of places with the Cowboys? Like, there's something in between not making the playoffs, making a coaching change 2 years ago, or year and a half ago, finishing with a losing record, and Super Bowl contender. How about Chase Daniel knows more football than I'll ever know, so I'm not making this about him. We can't go to the place of, if the Dallas Cowboys land Trey Hendrickson or Max Crosby, I think they can make the playoffs this year. Like, isn't that maybe a better step? Do they not have to play the Eagles twice a year?
They do.
Do they not have to play the Commanders if Jaden's healthy twice a year?
My schedule says yes.
Okay. Do they not have to play a team that universally, everyone said, made the single best offseason move at the coaching position in getting John Harbaugh, which we would assume that the griminess, the nastiness of the Giants will be in a different place than it was a year ago. Do they not have to play them twice a year before we even get to anyone else? Can't we just go to the place of, hey, Dallas may be a player or two away from actually making the playoffs this year? Why can't we just go there?
And one more thing about the Giants. Not only did they make the best hire in John Harbaugh, but we're always looking for that team to go from 4 or 5 wins to a playoff team. We saw it with the Commanders in year 1 with Jaden Daniels. We saw the Bears win 5 games and go to the playoffs with Caleb Williams. We saw Drake May and the Patriots win 4 games last year and go to the Super Bowl. I think a lot of people are circling the Giants as that team based on the personnel that they have, and John Harbaugh now as the coach as the team that could take a big leap.
And David, I am someone that absolutely believes in Dak Prescott. I think he's a really good quarterback. I think he's actually become underrated and under-talked about, which is a wild thing considering he is the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. But we spend so much time talking about Jerry Jones that we have actually ignored the guy that has just been the best on their team for a while now in Dak Prescott. This is not an anti-Cowboys take by me. This is simply just saying there's a step between not making the playoffs / losing record and Super Bowl contender.
But that's the Cowboys. That's like, this is what we do with the Cowboys. Inevitably, at some point this season, the Cowboys are going to win 3 games in a row, and we're going to say, they're turning things around. This is maybe a Super Bowl team. Like, they do this every year. They have an offseason of promise. They have an offseason with cap space. They have, hey, they can get this guy. They're looking like they could be a Super Bowl contender. They disappoint early in the season. Sometime November, December, they win 3 games. They look good in those 3 games, and we say, hey, maybe this team can figure this thing out, even though they're 4-6 or whatever at the time. And we feel, and that's just how we talk about the Cowboys. This is just what comes with being a Cowboy, for better or for worse. On the good side, you could be mediocre with Super Bowl expectations, but also you're somebody who has those expectations no matter what. And sometimes you could be underrated, like you said with Dak, for being good or too great, even just because you're not making Super Bowls.
To your point, David, do you remember last season when they beat the Raiders and then they beat the Eagles and the Chiefs back-to-back weeks, and we were like, oh, boy, watch out for the Dallas Cowboys. And then what happened? They lost to the Lions, the Vikings, and the Chargers. They won 3 in a row against the 2 teams that, including 2 teams that were in the Super Bowl last year, and then they lost 3 games in a row. He's right. We do this every year with the Dallas Cowboys. They give us just a little glimmer of a window where they're really competitive